Hey everybody, it's Roxanne from Champion of My Heart. Today we're going to talk about safety tips if you've recently acquired a new dog um, from any means. So let's get started. I recommend allowing at least 3 days for a new dog or puppy to unwind. And this is especially important if your new little canine pal is feeling residual stress from either a long trip home, maybe you had to trek across several states to get your new dog, or if they spent any time in an animal shelter environment, because even the best of them can be a very stressful, place for a dog to stay, even for a short period of time. So allow them time to unwind. Try not to overwhelm them by meeting too many people or going too many places or whatever. Just give them a few days to sort of reset their energy and stress level. I know it's tempting. You want all your friends to come over and meet your new dog, but maybe wait a couple of days. I also recommend double leashing in public. And for me, that means one leash attached to a normal collar and another leash attached to a body harness. And I recommend doing this for at least the first month, potentially longer if you have a dog that has shown any signs of being fearful, because it's very easy for a dog that is stressed, just a normal temperament dog that is stressed and in an unusual environment, or perhaps if you have a dog who really does have some, is a little bit fearful, a little bit cautious of things. It's easy for them to see, hear, or smell something that freaks them out, and they can, back out of their collar and they're off in a flash, and then suddenly you've got a brand new dog that's gone missing. So I really do recommend, 2 leashes for a while. It'll save you a lot of heartbreak in the long run. I also recommend practicing door vigilance. And by that, I mean, if you've got a dog that is very interested in doors to the outside, crowds you at the door, shoots out as soon as the door is even cracked, you're going to want to be really careful early on and until you can get that under control. And I recommend teaching like an automatic wait at a door threshold like that, where the dog needs a verbal release word before you give them permission to cross that boundary. But that's something I work on my dogs early on when they first come home. And I will tell you that my youngest is not great at this, but it's a skill. I think all dogs, it's good for them to have. And until you know that they're not going to just run out the door and never come back, I recommend door vigilance. I'm also big on supervising backyard time. Even if you have the safest backyard in the world, don't just bring them home and dump them in the backyard to, leave them up to their own devices. We know of a situation here in Colorado where a newly adopted dog, that's what happened. They brought it home, put it out in the backyard and went off to do whatever inside the house or whatever, and the dog went missing. I don't know if the fence wasn't secure or it got scared. I don't know how the dog got out, but it did. And that was several months ago. And as far as I know, that dog has never been found. So, supervise that backyard time early on, just until they've settled in. And again, I may be extra cautious about this because I live in a rural place with, honest to Pete, predators in the environment. So, maybe I'm overcautious, but I do think it's a good practice not to just leave them in their new backyards alone until they've settled in. And even then, I would say, hold on, I'm going to go back. Can I go back? Oh, I can't go back. Even then, I'm going to say I'm not a big fan of just leaving dogs in the backyard in general, up to their own devices, but that's just me. I also recommend keeping your new dog on leash in public for a while. Please don't take them to big wide open spaces that you may know and they don't, or maybe you don't know either and you go someplace fun. Please don't just cut them off leash and let them run. There's I think it's a car commercial where it shows these people going and adopting a dog. They put it in the car, they drive somewhere, and as soon as they get there, they open the car door and the dog runs out off leash into, like these rolling hills, in the middle of nowhere. And that just terrifies me. That's a terrible commercial. I don't know if you've seen it. I hate that commercial that's like really, really dangerous thing to do with a dog that you've just recently brought into your family. So, let's not do that. And until you've taught a really good recall, or you've proved the one maybe that they came with to know that they've got a good solid recall. I'm also a fan of teaching like a close to you perimeter. And typically this is done with initially on a very long leash or a long line, where the dog is allowed to go a certain distance from you. In my case, it's about 30 feet. And when they reach that boundary, they learn like, oh, I better check in, with mom or dad, or they circle back and come back close to you again. And we learned this in an online class that we took. And I simply say, particularly to my eldest dog, Clover, who has been trained this way, when she gets to that boundary, if she doesn't recognize it herself, I'll just simply say, too far, which is, sort of her cue for, oh gosh, I've gotten a little bit too far away from mom and it's time for me to circle back a little bit. So unless you've got just an unbelievable recall, or you've taught that kind of perimeter training, I'm personally, not just early on in a dog's relationship with you, but kind of for life, I'm a little more cautious about off-leash privileges than other people are. So, take that as you will. That's just my personal preference. So those are my 5 ideas on safety practices when you've recently brought a new dog into your life. If you like the kind of content we've been doing lately, we would appreciate a subscribe and a like. And we'll see you again real soon. Take care.